This is my journey to find the worst pay-to-win game ever. And today we're going to be taking a look at Black Desert Online. This is a game that I played back at launch, had severe problems with pay-to-win. It was unbelievably difficult to do anything in the game without being pushed into the cash shop. So now in 2021, we're going to go ahead and revisit that. I'm going to show you everything that this game has to offer now, since it did change dramatically since launch. About a year ago, Pearl Abyss gave out free copies to Black Desert Online on Steam. During that time is when I claimed it and I actually gave it another shot. I clocked in 446 hours and I didn't spend a single dime. There was a lot of changes that they made to make this game a lot more approachable. First thing, for example, they removed the weight limit on silver. Before, it used to be like that would actually weigh you down and get you over encumbered. So you had no choice but to go out and do like weight training or buy extra weight limit on the cash shop in order to actually get by and actually enjoy the game. It's not like that anymore. So that was a huge burden that was taken out of the game that really helped it dramatically. Another thing is that they made the main quest line in this game very rewarding. They were constantly giving me inventory space. They were constantly giving me weight limit increases. They were constantly giving me gear that I can set myself up with. So it makes it really approachable for new players to come in and do more end gamey content without having to grind their asses off to get there. Also, leveling is a hell of a lot easier in this game than it was back at launch. You could literally get from level 1 to 60 in like less than 8 hours if you knew what you were doing. And the coolest thing about this game is that you could swap out the gear. Let's say like if I had a main character that got the Narchilian set, and I could take that gear and put it on an alt, so like a level 1 alt, because there's no level restriction on the gear. So I could run around with the most top of the line endgame gear on my level 1 person and then just one shot all the all the lobby stuff. So you can literally power level yourself throughout the whole entire zone. I found myself doing that, and it was really awesome to be able to like level outs without any stress. Another thing that the main quest line starts giving you is maids and butlers. Let's say, for example, if you're out in the middle of the desert and you're just grinding mobs and you're getting full on your inventory space, you can take those items, give it to your maid, and they will take it to the storage. So it makes it even easier to not get over encumbered constantly. On top of that, you can put the items on your horse. So like I've had situations where I will literally over encumber my horse. Like there's so much stuff that he can't even move. I'll keep doing that constantly where I would trade it back to myself, give it back to my horse, and then just keep doing that over and over to like basically make it so that I'm never over encumbered when I'm out there grinding. So I could literally stay out grinding for hours and hours and hours and never really feel the repercussions of it. All these little changes that I'm explaining right now are some of the things that really improve the game dramatically to make it very approachable for a free-to-play player. To the point where I actually felt bad for not spending money for an entire 6 months. Like I literally got the game for free and I also played it completely for free that whole time. It made me feel guilty about not spending money in this game. And when I get to that feeling, that's when I know a game is done well. So to answer your question on whether or not you can play this game for free, hell yes you can. You can totally avoid the cash shop without ever spending a dime and still be able to fully enjoy this game to all it has to offer. Now that we got all the positivity out of the way, let's look into the actual cash shop and let's talk about the actual pay to win, because there is a lot of pay to win in here. But like I said, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. The first thing is there's these weekly little bonus things that last usually around 7 days or so. You will get these periodically during the main quest or just doing like random things, maybe even getting a login reward. You see like here, I can claim a bunch of login rewards. Sometimes you'll get them in here, but once you run out, you will see that these things give you energy recovery, which is something that you really need for being able to do a lot of like life skilling. There's a lot of stuff, let's say like trying to milk a cow or something. Like you can only do a certain activity a certain amount of times before like you can't do it anymore. And that's basically what this is in Black Desert. So while this system can feel like pay to win, it actually doesn't hurt a whole lot once you actually get used to the system and learning how it actually functions. So without these buffs, you will notice a big drop in the amount of stuff that you can do, because you'll also see that it drops the capacity of your weight limit, and it even increases item drop rate by 20%, which honestly I haven't really seen it do anything. I used to pop a bunch of scrolls, which I have plenty of them, of like, you see like these here, experience scrolls, and then there's also drop rate scrolls and stuff like that. They're not a huge deal, even with stacking up like 500% like drop rate. The drop rates are terrible in this game, so it's gonna make you feel like, hey, you should buy these things, but honestly you're better off not even bothering, because the chances of you even getting the thing that you want out of a drop is complete RNG, and it's one of the biggest problems with this game. The coolest thing about this game, though, that counteracts it, is that you can go on the auction house and you can buy all the best items. Like, you can literally buy a majority of the things that you need on the auction house from other players. So you could literally stay out here just life skilling all day long and never have to worry about stuff like that. So these buffs don't really matter a whole lot. Like, it's all up to you, and it's all up to your play style at the end of the day. And these are things that could push you into the cash shop, especially like this. You see it says combat XP 100%. You know, like, there's stuff in here that might make you feel like it's gonna push you in there to buy these things, because these are basically subscription model stuff where you have to pay like $15 a month basically to keep up with these things. The Book of the Old Moon, the thing that I really liked the most was the stable slot. You see, by 1. And it's because I've been horse training a lot in this game, so it felt kind of shitty to not have that one extra stable slot. But it wasn't enough for me to like hate the game or anything, because there is plenty of places for you to store your horses. You can store your horses in pretty much every stable throughout the land. So worst case scenario, you just have to travel a little bit to get access to different horses, but it doesn't really burden the system down completely to the point where it's just unplayable, you know? So that's a good thing. Now let's do like I was supposed to do, and let's take a look at the actual cash shop. In here, most of the things that are actually more desirable are actually the skins, like actually getting cooler looks and stuff. Like this one here, this shit looks badass. Look at that. Wow. You could always go on the auction house and also buy these things. That's the interesting part about it. But that also brings in the pay to win aspect. People could technically swipe their credit card, buy some skins, sell it on the auction house to make some free money. But the translation of how much money you make really isn't worth the amount you're spending. Like, for example, this is a $34 skin, this one right here. So for you to spend $34 to only make like $500,000 on it is really terrible, because you could easily make $500,000 in just like a half an hour's work of doing anything in the game pretty much. Especially if you're into life skilling, you can make a crazy amount of money. I was easily making 40 million like in an hour just doing like the imperial cooking. So I'll just sit there just cooking, doing that. I'll turn that in 40 million easy, and then I'll move on to either grinding, or I'll move on into just dealing with my farm, or I'll go and I'll start doing some horse training and selling the horses. So like, there's so many ways to make money in this game that it makes it pointless to go ahead and swipe your credit card to sell shit like this, because like, you're literally going to be spending more money than you should at the end of the day. One of the biggest things you're going to be looking at when you're in this is probably the inventory space and probably the weight limit. Which, like I said, the weight limit can easily be avoided as a free-to-play player if you use either, while you're out grinding, throwing all your stuff on your horse, or you start using the maid system, which you eventually get access to, and you just send your maids to go take stuff to the town. Also, the really cool part about this game is that you can ship items from town to town. So let's say if I wanted to spend most of my time here in Velia, I could ship my items from here in Altanova over to Velia by simply just using the transport system to send everything over. It takes a little bit of time, so like it'll take like an hour or so to ship items down, and it costs a little bit of money, very, very little money, but it makes it worth it to be able to like basically, like, let's say if you're out in the middle of the desert and you're grinding, and then you send your maid to go take it back to town, they're most likely going to drop it off at the nearest town in the desert, which is over here. So I could basically take all the items that were here, ship it to Velia, where I am right now, and it won't even be an issue anymore. I would just have to deal with the wait time, which will probably be around 2 hours or so. As far as inventory space goes, I haven't had any issues at all with inventory space, but then again, it all depends on your play style. So if you're the type of person that always wants like the most bag space ever, like you see how all these are locked, I would basically have to pay to get all this inventory space. This is my life skiller right here. So I spend most of my time on this character taking care of my farm, cooking, and then also just dealing with the Imperial cooking stuff. So I never had any issues. And most of the time I use the shipping system to get stuff out of my inventory. You see, like right now I'm starting to get a little full on my inventory. So what I would do is I would put it inside my storage in this town and then ship it over to, like, let's say Velia, for example, where I'll log out. I'll say, okay, who's in Velia? So we probably have somebody over there. Okay, here we go. Overhaul is in Velia. So I'll go ahead and I'll change. And then once I change over, I'll go ahead and deal with all the stuff that I sent over and post it on the auction house or do whatever else with it. So this is the cool part about this game, is that you can make your alts go to work to help you out with all the other things that you need to do. So for example, like this character is mainly an auction house person. Like that's why she's sitting right in front of the auction house. So I would literally just post things on the auction house and then I'll log out and then I'll go on to a different character. So let's say like my true main character is my sage. So I'll spend a lot of time grinding on that character. I'll do bartering, I'll do the horse training, I'll do all that stuff. My second main is my ninja. So I'll spend a lot of time also grinding on that one too. Like, so whenever I get bored, I can always just swap over to the two different characters. And of course you can trade the gear. So whenever I feel like I really want to focus on doing that one and playing the ninja, I can take my gear from this character and move it over to that. So like it makes it so accessible for all this stuff that it's unbelievably good. This is like easily one of the best MMOs out right now, just because of all the quality of life stuff that this game has. Now let me talk about the biggest downside with this game, and it's the PvP. So if you are a PvPer, you're probably going to hate this game because you're going to spend most of your time trying to get the best in slot gear, because that's the only way you could really realistically compete with the high-end people. Unless you're okay with doing like the low-end PvP stuff, which I know most people don't really give a shit about. They want to participate in the top of the line, like the best of the best shit. And the only way for you to do that is to realistically go in here and buy the best gear. So let's say if I want to look at the best gear possible, which is probably this, it's probably still Black Star. I haven't played in a while. But look at that. They're going for 1.6 billion just for the chest piece alone. That's insane. Expect to grind a really, really long time to get the best of the best gear. Like, I'm just telling you right now, it's gonna take a long time. There is also the enhancement system, which I have to say is the worst possible thing you could ever play in a video game ever in your life. I do not recommend ever doing this, especially since this is probably the most pay to win aspect of the whole entire game, because in order for you to realistically get nice roll chances and all that stuff, you have to get fail stacks. So you're constantly going to be wasting all your money trying to get fail stacks, on top of you could just go on the cash shop and buy items to increase your roll chance, on top of making it so that you can fix your gear without spending in-game money, you know, which is a lifesaver. So those are things that are super pay to win that could really ruin your whole entire gameplay session if you really want to take this seriously. The only time the upgrade system is tolerable is during the season, and also when you're doing the main quest line and you're just upgrading like the basic Naru set up to Narchilian. Since the game is constantly giving you the means to upgrade those things for free without having to worry about grinding to save money or going on the cash shop to buy boosters and things like that. So when it comes to PvP, I really don't recommend this game for that simple reason alone. But if you're okay with doing the lower end PvP stuff, then I guess the Narchilian sets could work out for you. But yeah, that's the only like huge downside with this game. Other than that though, I fully recommend Black Desert Online. This game literally like did a total 180. It's a much better game than it was back at launch. So many nice changes. If you really do consider giving it a try, like $10 is 100% worth all the stuff you're going to be getting out of this game, because they haven't even sold expansions or anything like that. They're constantly updating this game all the time for free for everybody. So like that's one of the biggest upsides to this game, is that you never need to spend money ever unless you want to. And that's the key point here. Special thanks to everybody that hit that join button on YouTube and also donated during the live streams. Really appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. And thanks for watching. Leave a thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't, and I will see you on the next one. Later, guys.